Hello, and welcome back to Goalie Interference. What's up, Mr. Mike McKenna of the Daily Face-Off? How are you? Can you not hear me?
You know what? I got an idea what's going on here. I'm just going to say hello because, boom, there's my sound.
Did you not have the volume up?
Here's the deal, man. So I hosted SiriusXM this afternoon, and I had to make sure that I had my Chrome audio off so that when things are up in the background, because this is a Chrome-based program that we're utilizing.
This is a Chrome-based operation.
It is, yeah. So let's open up the chat. Somebody does like me kind of want the giant flurry half. No, I don't. Anyway, hey man, hey Ken.
Did you watch that game?
Yeah,
that was a great game.
Yeah,
that was a great finish.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a Golden Knights fan,
well, which I'm assuming if you're watching the show, all signs point to the fact that you are. Before I get any deeper into that, though. Do you remember what we messed up horribly last week?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what we need to talk about right off the bat.
We are not going to do that again at all, no matter what, ever again, because I don't want to feel like as much of an idiot as I had for the last 7 days. So I should tell you that this show is brought to you by the Jimerson Law Firm. The Jimerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, Golden Knights win. 1-0, 1-0-0, even better. I think that's better. When winning matters, seek out the Jimerson Law Firm. I actually just got a magazine. I found it in a taco shop, and it said Vegas's top 100 lawyers, and the Jimerson Law Firm wasn't on there. I threw the magazine in the garbage and yelled at my garbage. That happened.
Yeah, that trash can deserved a beating for that.
Yeah, just
because we all know Jim Jimerson of the Jimerson Law Firm. We're talking about a Cornell education, which is bulletproof. And I hate to admit that being a St. Lawrence guy, but I tell you what, those kids at Cornell know how to bring it. So Ryan Field, nice to see you. And yeah, Jimmer's our guy here. So man,
the best.
Dude, absolutely.
Hey.
Wow. That was a fun hockey. Was that not a fun hockey game to watch?
I literally was going to have you start with that. Just the game itself. Like, we've been waiting 14 million minutes. I actually calculated that while sitting at the press box. I still find that very odd. I can't believe that 165 days is 14 million minutes. Nonetheless, we waited seconds, not minutes. Now I sound like an idiot. 14 million seconds we waited for this game to come up. And we got a doozy. Like, I don't think either team played a great game. There was not like mid-season buttoned up hockey, but the back and forths, the momentum swings, just the way that each team was playing, you could tell they both wanted the game. Like, that was a fun hockey game to watch. And for us, what an ending.
Yeah. And I think really looking at it, through the first couple periods, it was pretty sloppy, which is expected, and it kind of broke loose for the third. But man, like, it's funny how, we talked about the Golden Knights are a rush team for the last couple of years, which they really were. Even though the Golden Knights, to me, last night absolutely dominated the transition game, I do not believe that their entire game was predicated upon the rush. I felt like they had okay zone time. And I mean, even especially like the depth lines, like you kind of saw the typical fourth line. Get it in the zone, keep it on your stick blade. It works out. So like, I still feel like there's the traces there of the just transition team, and it's going to work itself out after a little while. But I like the life on the power play. I like that there's at least now, to me, there's two serviceable power play units once they get it figured out.
It should be.
I believe.
Yeah, it should be. I think there needs to be some shifting going on with who's on what unit. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. I want to talk about on the top unit.
But then,
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and if you want to take away another really good thing, like Thompson had a great game. Like I had a good game. I'm going to say.
I was going to say you're going great.
I'm not going to say great. I'm going to say Thompson had a good game. You get a win in your first game. Like he chased the puck a little, but that's going to be every game. I'm going to say that. I feel like so. I don't know. I think just across the board, something that Golden Knights fans are going to have to get used to is that this team will grind out wins. Like they will be in games. They will be maybe even closer than you've come to expect over time with some of the blowout style wins, really like over by the first period,
Right.
But I tell you what, those type of wins are the ones that you look at now. Like when you have to grind out wins throughout the year, you're like, man, you become bulletproof when you get towards playoff time. Like you just know how to take care and win and buckle down. And like, look at the guy who put that puck in the net to win the game. Big 61, right? Like I'm not sure if he could make that shot last year.
That shot was sick.
Great shot. Like,
yeah,
and
just beautiful.
just like, and knowing Mark, like, and hearing him talk, I've got that sense that he truly feels like his body's back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, he looks it. I mean, obviously he's not the best skater and he's not ever going to be the best skater, but anytime he was around the puck, his vision's there. He was doing the right thing. And then in that play, the very last second of the game, effectively, he's up on the play there, drops back into a position. He finds that soft spot. It's just, it's classic, beautiful Mark Stone hockey. Like that's all it really was.
Yeah. And that whole line really like,
and
we could analyze the whole thing. I'm sure everybody's probably looked at it a lot. It's a great play by Pietrangelo and a good read. Because it's funny because I did a breakdown of it today earlier on XM, and I hadn't seen Stone's quotes about it. And Mark's quotes were basically like, yeah, he basically threw it up the wall, but it was a great play by Petro. And that's the point I made earlier today. I was like, you know what? Throwing it up the wall like that's usually a pretty safe space. Like it's usually okay. I think that even more so than the stretch pass, they kind of caught LA napping. Like, and that happened a few times with LA last night.
They were
bad changes.
Odd. They were odd. Yeah. A lot of mistakes, a lot of dumb errors.
Yeah. Like you saw saw some youth still there that shouldn't be, but of course Stevenson gets the puck and drives wide. He does that, but like the unsung hero was Brett Howden to me.
The net drive, push two guys back, and you can argue three.
And he had zero desire to get the puck on his blade. It was just a mission to get everybody back and create space. And like those little details matter, man. Like that's the unselfishness that you need. And I don't know if Howden's going to be able to really stick on the third line. I think that's a stretch but I think that's a stretch. But if you need him in a pinch, you've seen that he could at least do it. And I shockingly did like more than I expected the lines being a little spread out for Vegas. I actually think that lightens the load off the big players and takes a little pressure off. So it was an encouraging game. It was a great game. It was so much fun to watch, man. It was just refreshing, honestly. And to see somebody's like to see Barks celebrate hard at the end, man. That's
always
this
amazing.
Is great,
it's awesome. Like it's gift worthy every single time. And him going nuts. The high five with Cotter on the bench is spectacular. Like
Paul Cotter nearly vaulted over the whole ice surface.
Him saying I jumped 10 feet in the air when they scored the goal. Like it's a galvanizing win. It gets you in the right direction. Like it's very good. I think the piece that I took most out of all of it is kind of just when you remember back to last year, there was not a lot of a feel of like, this is what the Golden Knights are. This is how the Golden Knights are going to win. We didn't really have an answer other than like, well, they're going to be able to get some chances off the rush. If the other team makes some mistakes, they're going to get some. And then for the most part, it's like, well, we're going to flick 40 shots at the goal and hope that they go in off somebody's butt. Like that was kind of what we were looking at. And I felt like last night, that's not what we had. Like we had a much more clear identity. I'm writing for it about it.
I was going to ask, is there a word that describes that?
And it's like, it basically what it is to me is like, length. They're very long. Their sticks are everywhere. They're very buttoned up in all three zones of how they're playing, how they forecheck in the offensive zone when the other team has the puck, how they're playing through the neutral zone, and then what they're doing in the defensive zone to take away the middle of the ice. And then the second piece is just like, it felt like there was, I hate the work ethic. I hate that the effort type of things, but it did feel like in that game, and I think it comes up more in just the way that they went about playing. It felt like they were everywhere when the Kings had the puck. It felt like there were Golden Knights all over the place, that there weren't seams open all the time, that they weren't flying through the neutral zone, that they were a patient team that was allowing the Kings to come to them, and then they were smothering them every single time they had that chance. Now, the Kings were allowing it way more than they probably should, and I don't know how good the Golden Knights are going to do against teams that aren't going to do that, which is going to be most of them moving forward. But it did feel like the identity of the team is now forechecking, gum up the neutral zone, and then find a way to turn that into chances quickly and take advantage of mistakes that the other team makes. That seems to be an identity that makes sense with this team. It does follow down the question of, are they going to score? I know they scored 4 goals last night. I did not see an offense that gives me a ton of hope, though.
So there's a couple different dynamics to where you've gone, and I think you made some salient points. What you said about kind of taking what you can get and being patient, to me, is a key part of what Cassidy likes to do. That doesn't mean that the team's passive. We didn't see a passive Golden Knights team.
No.
But we saw a team that didn't just get the puck on their blade and start flying the zone like we've seen the last couple of years. You know, there's a calculated patience to the aggressiveness that matters to me. And I think that this 1-2-2 that they're playing, in my eyes, works really well for the personnel they have.
Yep.
You know, I think you can make the ice, you know, in a 1-2-2, you at least cover more ground in the middle of the neutral zone. And I think if, you know, some of the players in the club that don't have the greatest foot speed like that, that's not a bad deal.
It was good for years here, and then they went away from it, and now they're right back to it, and it immediately picks right back up, and they look like they've done it for years, where the Kings look like, oh, what is this going on here?
Yeah, and this is, you know, it's not just effort. It's not just motivation. Like, it's a game plan. What you see under Cassidy is, to me, especially in the offensive zone, a whole lot more movement with the puck. And this is what we've been clamoring for, it felt like, for 2 years. Like, you know, like when that puck is on the blade, there's an onus on the forwards to be able to get the puck low and to the half wall. And like, especially power play, it's such a half wall driven power play. Like, I mean, I actually thought Shea Theodore had one of the best games I've seen in a while from him.
He was
in
good.
terms of the puck on his blade and moving his feet
late in the game too.
Yes. And, you know, and I just think it's such a funny dynamic, because we always like under Pete, it was always about getting the D involved. We want the D involved. We want him to go. Well, it's got to be at the right time, and it can't be forced. And I think that the system Cassidy has going kind of gives the freedom to carry the puck a little bit more, which really benefits Shea. I mean, man, you saw him dangle a little bit last night. He's walking the line. Like, he's got white tape on his blade instead of black, which I think was a change. I think I'm not in the room to ask that any longer, like I used to do on the broadcast. I'd always ask those goofy little questions to the players, but
pulling up pictures.
I think so. But yeah, you know, like I mean, I'm trying to search for some negatives, really, because we need to talk about those too. I mean, I thought Kessel was a little bit overboard last night with his stick.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just the penalty he took. Like, there were a couple times where it was like, dude, we know you are pumped to be a Golden Knight and, you know, try to win a Stanley Cup again. But boy, was he enthusiastic with the wand last night. You know,
right. So black tape. Every picture I can find is black tape.
So there we go. There's a little one. Theodore's gone to white tape.
There you go.
But so, you know, like, you know, Kessel, yeah, I mean, I thought he was a little bit enthusiastic. I still get real nervous about Jack Eichel in the defensive zone. It's just call it a spade. I just do not think he works hard enough away from the puck yet. And I'm really hoping that finally playing for a coach and a team that's demanding and has structure will, you know, kind of go through him, because he's capable of that. It just has to happen. So, I mean, those are just a couple of things that kind of stuck out to me. But then again, you look at how good Eichel was offensively. Like, man, he looked like the Jack Eichel that you expect to have, you know. And I'm not talking about, you know, I'm not talking about the goal. I'm really talking about the way he drove towards middle ice, and he wasn't as perimeter as you've seen. And
that one penalty is like, that's what they need. That's what you're looking for. He gets into that, you know, dangerous ice. He puts the puck on his backhand and brings it right towards the goal, and you have no choice but to hook him. That's what they're looking for. DeBoer cried about that for months last year. They finally started to get it in game 1. It's nice.
Yeah. So, you know, and you can look at statistics all you want. I mean, I just straight up thought the Golden Knights managed the puck better, which,
no question.
You know, man, that was the big problem last year. It just
half the battle. But they did it against a team that didn't manage the puck very well, in my opinion, at all. And when the other team's handing you the puck as often as they were, and I actually talked to Pietrangelo a little bit about this. I said, when you're playing against a team that carries the puck back into their own zone as often as they do, what change in mentality happens? And he says, basically what has to happen is you can't chase them. You have to let them just go back in there, turn around, and let them come back towards you. And then once we're set up, and he said, I thought we did a really good job of that. And what kept happening was they would bring the puck back into their own zone and then either wouldn't pick out the right pass or would flub the pass on the way to trying to make it. And the Golden Knights are set up exactly how they want to in their neutral zone. And now they're going the other way. And then when you talk about puck management, when the puck is turned over to you, it's very unlikely you're going to turn it over back because you're in a position where they're not set up defensively. So just that alone is going to help the puck management. I thought like gameplay wise and like tactically wise, the Golden Knights were so much cleaner across the board. The only place that concerned me, and it's one that has concerned me for weeks now, and I don't know when or if it's going to get better. I do not like Pietrangelo and Martinez in their own end anymore. And I don't understand why this keeps happening. But like there were 3 different times. I just watched the game back actually a few minutes ago. I finished it up. 3 different times players are lost heading down into the slot or standing. There's one, Pietrangelo just loses him completely. The guy's standing right in the blue paint. And the puck is on the wall, and it's a backhand pass zipped through to the front. To me, those are the guys that are supposed to be the ones that are picking up this system the quickest. Those are supposed to be the smartest defensive players. I don't know why that's continuing to be a problem, and it's something that we saw last year that they were having issues last year in their own end. That's a piece that's concerning me. If Ben Hutton's messing up from time to time, okay. If Shea Theodore's messing up from time to time, fine. But I can't have Pietrangelo and Martinez losing Gabe Velarde on his way to the goal. You can't have it. And I think they got away with something late in that game, like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, somewhere in there. There's that chance in tight, and then there's a second chance where Doughty just beats them through the neutral zone, and they do not have any coverage on the rebound because they're not covering up players like they should, that could have potentially led that game to go to a different way. And what are we talking about if it's 4-3 Kings after regulation? Like they had chances. Could have been 4-3 Golden Knights after regulation too. The Golden Knights I thought were better, but the D zone coverage I just don't think is anywhere close. And the Kings just didn't have enough time in there to take advantage of it, in my opinion.
They weren't in the zone a whole lot.
Correct.
You know, that was really, and that all relates
zone, like at all.
Yeah, it relates back to the neutral zone, which, you know, what Petro said about having to just wait for them to come to you. I mean, that's really, you know, in a 1-2-2, when you're facing that tactically, like you want to spread it out. You want to try to get them to come a bit and expose the middle ice to be able to get through speed. You have to be disciplined in that system. And to me, they were, and the Golden Knights have people that read sticks well. I mean, Stone,
and it's a little easier to do when they are handing you the turnovers. When you're patient and they're getting through the neutral zone over and over again, whether it's a dump in or they're passing it through, whatever, you start to feel like, we got to challenge them a little bit more. That wasn't happening, and really, I would say all 60 minutes, it was never consistent that the Kings were getting through the neutral zone.
No, and that's where I think it's tough for me to read, like. You know, Petro, Martinez, like those are guys that to me, I still want to see a 5-game sample size here. You know,
that's fair.
I really do.
Fair.
Because listen, as an old goalie, I'll know when guys are doing that. You know what I mean? Like you can't fool me. Like I get it when this happens. But I think when you're just starting to get things rolling again, it's real because, I mean, Petro was fine last night. And I think we saw last year that, you know, with Petro, there are ebbs and flows to his game. Like he is not the just straight up defensive stalwart. Like he is, to me, I don't know what you call him, whether you call him top 15 in the league now, top 20, right? D, which is a damn good defense.
He's good. Like offensively, he's very good. And you can see the play he makes in the neutral zone that wins the game. Like,
yeah. He's a heady player when the puck is up ice and a decent bit away. He's very heady. But play it tight like that, it's just, Velarde had the best game I've ever seen him play.
He was great.
I mean, boy, I wrote an article today saying he's going to be the key to that team, which seems a little crazy, right? When you pick up a guy like Fiala and Arvidsson's healthy, and you still
the Golden Knights own Fiala. It's unbelievable. Dude. Every time they play him, that guy does nothing. Yeah. The biggest play he made was a stupid elbow.
He did have a good chance in the first that Thompson made a flagpole save on, but after that he kind of disappeared. We actually interviewed him on SiriusXM today, and I didn't needle him about the game at all.
Probably smart. He's not good against the Golden Knights. Like, he just isn't.
No. I mean, he's had a couple games here and there, but playoffs he would just disappear against.
That was gone.
And but the whole key for him is to get to middle ice. Like, he drives really well with the puck on his stick, and if you can snuff that out by the top circles on Fiala, you take his game away largely. And those gaps were good. That's half the reason why the transition was good, is that, man, they were right on top of the Kings players as they entered the zone, and they didn't really allow them to get behind them often. So, I mean, I completely sympathize with what you're saying with Marty and Petro. I'm going to be positive on this one and say, hey, man, let's go 5 games on this on Cassidy. But overall, that was a good step. So
I mean, again, like I said, I think the identity piece of it where, and maybe I'm overdoing it because it's one game and it's been 14 million seconds since the last time we saw them play. Maybe because like that did look like a team that I felt like 3 periods every single time, every single shift, every single group. It felt like they were doing the same thing, like pulling in the same direction. That I didn't see as much last year. I do say that we did see it from time to time. They did have good games. Like, it was down the stretch. They stomped Calgary late in the season when they absolutely had to have a win. So, like, we can't go overboard on it. But then I think that the thing that the rewatch surprised me the most on was I did think I was seeing new things in the offensive zone watching the game live. They definitely got below the goal line a little bit more and fed pucks back through the middle. The problem is there was never a player actually in the middle to receive any of those passes. So while they look very dangerous, none of them ever connected. There were a couple that they kind of fed across the goal line that were a little bit better. They've done that in the past. You look at the goals. The first one is a complete and utter disaster from the Kings. Just
what are they doing? 2 guys go to the bench and say, "Hey, give it the Ole." They might as well have the red flag.
And then you give Marchessault and Carlson a 2-on-1 with an extra winger on their left. Like, forget about it. That's a goal.
I got to tell you, that was actually a bad goal against.
Well, he sold out, right? Like, he sold out.
He was way too far. He was so far out of his net for a 3-on-1 that when the pass went from Marchessault to Carlson 10 feet, he slid. He didn't need, if it was an
easy looking goal, it's probably going to be a goal anyway. Like, if he plays that perfectly, there's still going to be plenty of room to shoot at. You like,
disagree.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. That's a bad goal against. That to me is a textbook. It looks like it's a 3-on-1. We'll make every excuse because of that realistically, if he would have played that 2 feet deeper in his net, stayed on his edges and been patient, he makes that save.
Okay.
So,
like, getting back,
but that's also not Jonathan Quick, right? That's not how he plays.
Right. He's all over the place. Yeah.
I'm trying to project a technical modern goaltender and foist that upon a street hockey goalie, which is Jonathan Quick.
Not a good idea.
You know what I mean? So
and like, I watched it and thought, oh well, if they had done the thing he would thought it was going to happen, he would have made an unbelievable save on that. So that's the first one. The second one is Eichel, which is, it's effectively a power play goal.
It's a power play goal.
And really, if you really watch it, he has no idea where that puck's going when it banks off his foot and onto his stick. All of a sudden, it's on his stick, and he looks down. He's like, sweet. And then he roofs it because he's Eichel. Like, awesome. Okay, that's a positioning goal. That's a power play goal. That's one of your ugly power play goals. That's not a 5-on-5 in zone goal. The next one is a Carlson power play high tip. Brilliant. Everything you could possibly ask. Waugh takes it behind the goal. This is Cassidy helping them find new options. Love that. That's a power play goal. The last one is a transition goal that Pietrangelo makes a good play, good net drive by Howden. There is nothing in the entire game in regards to goals that came from different offensive zone generation of shots or scoring chances or anything. Yes, they created chances, but it's not actually there. And because of that, if that game ends at any different score, we're sitting here saying, why are we back to this? And to me, they got 4 goals. There's nothing that's indicated to me that this group of lineup, the way that it's currently constructed, is going to be able to generate against teams all the time. I just don't see it yet.
We'll see. I mean, and I think the power play is obviously a big factor. It's a huge factor in Boston under Cassidy. I mean, that power play, no matter how you want to slice it, it mattered. And it mattered at a disproportionate number to what some other teams are. And
but are you buying it yet? Like, you saw what they struggled entering. It wasn't really great. Are you buying that the power play is going to suddenly be the answer for all of the missing goals that are not there for the way they play in zone?
No, but I think that this is something that I've seen enough pieces of it that
they'll be better.
I really believe this will improve. I don't think we've seen its best version.
They're going to be better. There's no way they can't be.
I'm pretty surprised though, really, at the usage of Riley Smith, just because, last year was such a down year for him. And it's not like there's not knowledge of Smith around the league and what he can do, but like, he really had the puck on his stick a lot. He was one of the main half wall triggers, and you got Eichel and Smith basically as your 2 guys, and Stone's down low, and it kind of caught me off guard. I guess I'll say that. I thought you'd see Marshy on a half wall at some point, and like, it does make sense to have.
He is on the other unit.
He is on the other. Yeah.
In my opinion, he should be where Smith is currently, with Stevenson in the middle, Eichel on the other half wall. I'm starting to like Pietrangelo more on the top unit. I think Theodore does more on his own and can create with lesser players around him. I would switch Pietrangelo and Theodore back. I think he's going to do that at different times. I'm fine. I like Stone where he's at. I like Wow where he's at in his spot. But so
he's got time to experiment with it. Yeah. And, I think to me, though, like Eichel's goal is going to be kind of a microcosm of what you'll see a decent amount of, because it is a direct game under Cassidy to me. Like it's, man, direct. If you've got that puck, you better be sending your feet to the net as a forward. But you'll see a whole lot more generation from the tops of the circles down from him that generate off the half wall, that are players moving to the middle or down low to middle. Then you just simply went low, high, low, high, low, high with Pete. And it just, man, that doesn't work like over time. Like, it's just so predictable and easy to beat that type of system. And I think that once they kind of get a grasp of how to properly utilize that bumper guy and rotate him around, right? Because you saw, like, you'd see Smith fly into the middle and rotate it with Stevenson, right? Like, the motion is the key to the offensive zone with this, to me. And sometimes those routes and those patterns and those trust in your players can just take a little bit to get to. So,
I'm not concerned about power play, like, at all. I'm still, I don't fully understand how all of a sudden they went to drop pass on every single entry when they don't do that. And I don't know what happened there. And I wasn't able to stick around for the press conference today, so I didn't get to ask him about that. I'm going to do it tomorrow if they do it again. It may have just been something they were seeing in how the Kings were playing. But to me, like, that was weird to see that. And it was not successful at all. But it's more 5-on-5 in zone. I didn't feel like any line outside of the fourth line had any consistency in what they were doing. And the fourth line, while they're doing the things that they can do, are we really relying on jam attempts from Kolazar, Cotter, and Wah for us to get our goals? Like, they had some of the best chances. Like, I want more. I want more offensively. I want goal scoring chances created from passes, not created solely off transition or one guy makes a play. Theodore makes a play, and that's how we're creating our chances.
I don't think you're going to have a disagreement in the coach's room, because no coach wants to live and die by being on the rush or live and die with a power play. You want to be able to create in the offensive zone. It's a matter of unlocking that. And I don't think that these lines are necessarily set in stone either. And I don't even know how much the lines are the key. I don't know how much lines are going to be the key with this, really. Like, when you're look at Stone, like right now, do you think he's best utilized, playing with Howden and Stevenson?
I don't mind it. To be honest, like the more I watch Howden and I understand kind of the concept that they're going for with Howden, and Cassidy's big on net drive. He wants someone driving the net constantly. And it's so much easier if you're Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson, knowing we don't have to do it because I've always got a guy doing it. So I don't mind that one. Like that's the one that actually makes sense to me. I think Cotter can step in and do it. I think other guys can do it. The one that I'm a little bit, I don't fully understand is who's playing with Carlson and Marcia. So it was a Matteo at the moment. I didn't think he was great last night. And then to me, I just think Kessel, it's not the right fit with Eichel. I know there was chemistry there in the preseason. I just, yes, he had the touch pass, but there were also errors in the neutral zone. I thought he was the weak link throughout the entirety of that game when they were having issues with the other team getting through the neutral zone. It was typically with Kessel and Eichel on the ice. And that's just because I just don't think that's a great match. Like that's my feel.
I think by the end of the year, it shakes out. Kessel plays third line minutes, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because, I mean, I think they're pretty – you're kind of even in how you got the team right now in terms of lines. Right?
He played 1356 last night to Eichel's 1703.
Like, Ken, realistically, the top three lines played pretty even minutes last night.
It was fairly close, yeah. Fourth line played a lot, too.
Yeah.
As they should have.
It was pretty even in that way. Like, unless you were killing penalties or had a bit of power play time. But I just don't think you're going to be able to run Kessel all year long sitting at the top line expect him to keep up with Eichel. Like, I just don't. And who do you put on? Do you put Riley Smith over to the right side, or bring Marchessault up with Eichel? Like, there are definitely options here.
I don't mind
that. I really do think, though, that Stevenson and Stone are pretty locked together at this.
They should be. They've been very good. And you see, like, the moment at the end of the game is it. Like, that's all you need. It's a play that it's just a loose puck in the neutral zone. And they have as many players as the Golden Knights have in the neutral zone when it happens. And he finds a way, picks it up immediately with speed, pushes them all back. And Stone knows how to find a soft spot and make something happen. So, like, there's no real reason to pull them apart. And, like, they should be able, between the two of them, the chemistry is so good, they should be able to have a passenger. I'm not sure you can put a passenger with Carlson. I think that's the one piece that, like, that's where I'm not 100% sure how this is all going to work. And I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think the most of time that Velarde was out there was with Carlson. And I just don't know that that's going to be a shutdown line with those three. And I'm not sure you can make it unless you put Carlson with Stone, and we're not planning on doing that. Maybe you put him with Smith and you do it, but then what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm not even sure that they're going to have a true shutdown line, honestly.
He really wants one. I'll tell you that.
He may want one, but I don't know if it's going to emerge. You didn't see it emerge in Boston all last year either. So yeah, it's not going to. Your shutdown line's not going to include Jack Eichel or Phil Kessel.
Nope.
Your shutdown line absolutely could be Mark Stone, Stevenson, and Howden, but is that the best resource for them to be taking draws in the defensive zone all the time? So I think that's a work in progress to figure out, really. But it's Carlson's going to be really intriguing this year because, boy, I want to go this direction right now. Like, that was a pretty funny clip that the team put out with. It
was great.
The creator and Marshy and Carlson recreating
the Dumb and Dumber thing. It was fantastic.
Dumb and Dumber.
It was great.
But it just kept running through my head over and over and over and over again that, man, this is going to be awkward when they trade Carlson. And it just, like, those are like your subliminal thoughts to these things, because it's like, it's almost like this. I mean, it's almost like the PTSD of the Golden Knights. You just expect them to, like, oh, we love this player, you might as well kiss him goodbye, And I'm really trying to flush that out of my system and think that, okay, they've learned their lesson now. They've pretty much washed the slate clean. Can they just keep it together right now? I don't know. I just thought that was a fun clip. It was kind of weird, though, to me, just to see. Like, the owner so front and center is so strange, man. Like, that's just not normal.
I don't mind it.
I know you don't mind it, but that's just, it's different.
It is odd.
And I hate to be like the stick in the mud, because I'm always the person saying, like, we need more personality. We need to do things. This is great. But it does kind of strike you though when it's like the owner's that front and center.
I will say this,
especially after the team has been through what they have. And
I really don't think like I've seen him now in maybe 4 videos or so. I'm starting to think he's not that good of an actor, to be completely honest with you. I really don't think he is.
I didn't study his thespian skills quite as close, maybe, but
I watched the video a few times. I don't think Bill Foley's a good actor. I'm just going to say it. Sorry, I'm just going to go there.
What he is definitely a good sport to do something like that, to see the bigger picture, try to put some smiles on people's faces, and really like that's your attempt to humanize the team again.
Good, but then look who you're doing it with. I guess is the problem, and like who are the 2 guys that you're doing it with? Are the 2 guys that everyone's already in love with and have been for 5 years? Like it does that look different if it's Kessel and Eichel? Does it look different if it's even Pietrangelo hasn't really been the forward-facing face? That's a weird way to say
Not a bit.
He hasn't really been. So it's like, I don't know that those are the right guys to do it with. The video is great. I'm not taking anything away from the video. But if your plan is like, we need to kind of turn the page into the quote-unquote golden age, by the way, get the off the hashtag. It should be just hashtag golden age. But if you're planning on going that direction, you have to find a way to make Eichel front and center. And then you can utilize Stone. You can utilize, like, I would use Martinez as much as possible. Pietrangelo should be involved in it. If you want to do the Kessel, go that route, fine. But like Stevenson, I just think when you lean back on the guys that have been here, you're not
going to get Kessel on a 1-year deal.
If anything, you're going backwards.
Yeah. With Kessel on a 1-year deal, they're not going to prop him up.
Probably not.
And I think actually people would be surprised if they got to know Mark Stone a little bit of how fun he is, man. Like I don't know how they can get him to break out of his shell. He's awesome. He's awesome.
He's great. He's awesome. I like him. He's unique. Most people don't know anybody like Mark Stone.
People say that about me a lot too. So I see why I like him. But if you want to talk hockey with somebody,
oh yeah,
he is your guy, man.
Yes.
Like I'm telling you, there's no doubt in my mind that if he wants to do front office work when he's done, roll out the red carpet. Like there's players. Yeah, Petro's got enough cake. He's going to do whatever he wants in St.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you want to talk hockey with him, like he'll dig in his history book and give you some good stuff. Like he can do that.
They both can. But yeah, like Stone is really, boy, it impresses me. The stuff that he really soaks in and remembers. This is funny here, Mike.
Like this plan?
Mike Lang. Yeah, I like this. I like somebody wearing the black cowboy hat and being the villain.
So it says, I think the team should steer into the everyone hates us angle, play the villain role.
Yeah, be the heel. I love the bad guy, but I don't know how well that plays when you're trying to sell tickets and get corporate sponsorships. So like the best thing that could ever happen is to just have like the Golden Knights show up with a middle finger out and like swords, like
you call it like once.
Yeah. Like you imagine the Golden Knight comes out and just gives the bird to everybody, or he's got a big sword.
Point they were eating.
Yeah, he's like taking the sword to squish mallows at center ice.
Yeah, like I'm not opposed to that. I guess the part that I don't like about the everyone hates us angle and like playing the villain angle is I feel like a lot of the people that hate the things that have gone on are your own fan base, like myself included. Like I don't think that they went. So like if you start leaning into we're the villains, you're saying that all these things that we did to get to this point, we're happy that we went about them this way. Like that's a piece that I'm still waiting for. Can someone please come out and say, we wish we hadn't done some things in the past the way that we did it? No, instead, he says, I'm happy to look in the mirror and admit mistakes. I then ask him, go ahead, do one. And he won't say one.
The closest you're ever going to get to that is just saying, I think from now on, we're going to be a little bit more. I'm trying to think how it was worded.
Have they said that?
No, they said that we're going to aim before we shoot instead of shoot before we aim. Something like, what I mean?
But Bill says that. I don't know that that's the same. Like,
I don't think you're going to get that out of Krim. I don't think you're going to get any apologies for past things. Because it's always, we did what we thought was right for the team at the time. And that's
fine. But that doesn't mean that you can't reflect on some of the ways that things have gone down, and then reflect on the fact that you decided to do a video of a new era of the team and you wound up with the two guys that you've had for 6 years.
Well, maybe they're just trying to reconnect, right? So right? I don't know.
You see my point? And then, like you're saying, I'm afraid that Karlsson's going to get traded because that's what they do. And then Nick Hague can't get a contract until the very last minute. The one homegrown guy can't get a contract and then gets taken to the cleaners when he finally gets his contract. I mean, there's a dude who scored 0 goals in 56 games in his NHL career today that makes more money per year than Nick Hague does. What are we doing?
Takes two to tango, man. Hague eventually took the deal, though.
He cracked. He decided, I'm sick of this. I want to play hockey, and he cracked. And his agent probably isn't thrilled with it, but that's what happened. He took down to the dollar. The Golden Knights are $17 away from the salary cap. That means Nick Hague took every single dollar that they had that they were wanting to give him. No, he should have gotten more than that. But here we are. But I guess my point is, like,
what it could, yeah, but like, dude, I've done negotiations. What it comes down to is you're not going to play hockey, man. And at this stage of the game, he's been a healthy scratch as late as last year. He needs to be in this lineup immediately, or he's going to get leapfrogged. And that's the hammer that comes down.
Is he though?
Yes.
I mean, Ben Hutton's stick is like along the wall, and his glove is in front of the goal, and then he's spinning around in circles when the puck is going in his own goal.
Oh, take it easy on Ben.
I
mean, that did happen, but take it easy.
Happened, but I love Ben.
My whole point though is that Hague needs to be in the lineup now. He needs to not be a healthy scratch this year or the next 3.
Then what are we waiting for? Why did we wait this long? Like, why was he not in camp?
Well, because what I had heard, I mean, his camp I thought was going for close to 3/3,
as they should.
And he ends up getting what was it 2.35 was kind of where it was, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
2.2. So like, that's a big swing, man. Like that.
Yes. That's a lot of money.
It is, and I think that he probably at that point realized that if I keep trying to push this, I'm not getting a deal. And whether it's Caden Korzak, whether it's anybody, somebody else is taking that spot. And I know you can roll your eyes, Ken, but like,
I will.
Works, man. Like these don't end well for players. Like, this is like going to arbitration. You file for arbitration, you're getting traded. Like, if you actually go to arbitration, not file, but if you go to arbitration, dude, it's like 90% of those guys are traded within 2 years, like it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. It really does. So I don't know, man. I think when you don't have leverage, what leverage does he have? I'm not going to play. That's it.
Well, the leverage is the Golden Knights are pushed up against the cap. Like, the leverage is and you've been speaking the entire time about the priority that I am to your team, and then you won't sign me. Like, and then I don't know. They've paid everyone else. Everybody else has gotten their money. Why is the only guy? Like, I still will never understand this. Why are people that they had from year one, the moment they had the franchise, all of those people get terrible deals? And everyone else who comes in gets paid handsomely. Pietrangelo, Stone, Eichel already had his deal. Who else came in? Stastny, Pacioretty. They all got great deals. But White Cloud,
they had to get the player.
Karlsson,
free agents. So it works. You just screw the guys you keep in your system, man. That's how it works, because they fall in love with it and want to stay and don't want to go anywhere, and you take less. Like, that's, man, honestly, like, I had moments where I would have been like that too. Like, that's just kind of how it works, is that once you get somebody in your system, especially as a draft pick, it's always like, why did David Pastrnak take an absolutely terrible deal in Boston?
Right.
Like, terrible, but that's not going to happen again now. This is what happens though. You have to hope that if you take a bad deal the first time, man, you better hope that you're still playing well for that second deal, because you may end up really screwing yourself. Like, those second deals, it used to be like your first big deal that was your appetizer, right? Like, that was setting the table. That's
your beef carpaccio, right?
You're having a nice
drizzle.
Yeah, you're having a nice little roasted carrot and goat cheese appy coming out to you there with a little cilantro and pistachio and then a little honey drizzled on it. And then you decide, like, oh boy, now it's time for the real deal. We're wheeling out the main course, and that's when the tomahawk comes out. That's the way it used to be. Now it's not like that. Like, the entry-level players are getting these monster deals. They're getting paid for what they will do instead of haven't. So,
as it probably
this dynamic's changed.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, I mean, this could bite Hague in the future in that if he doesn't really blossom, this is all the money he's going to get. Problem is,
to me, like, was it not better? Like we talk about, did he not have an option here? I think there's an argument to be made that he was better off on the entry level deal than this one. I'm sorry, on the qualifying offer than this one. He's making he'd be making almost $900,000. But to me, the deal ends up coming in right around $7 million. Like, I think there's a possibility. He's got a lot to prove, but I think there's actually a possibility that Nick Hague's a $7 million per year player. Like, I think that's actually a realistic option if things were to go his way. If he gets the minutes, if he gets the time, and he does what he can do with it, I think he could do that. But like that year 3, I think he should have been making at least half of what this entire deal is. There's no reason he shouldn't be making $4 million when he's 2 years down the road from here. Like, when you look at the other deals that are being signed, it's crazy.
Yeah. Qualifying offer is really what matters for so many of these. You know, you look at well,
but he's going to have arbitration the next time. So, like,
yeah, it's true. You're right.
He's going to be in a much better spot. I just thought, like, okay, you're taking $1 million now. You need to make up 6 over the next 2 years. It's almost impossible that he's not going to do that when there's literally, I don't even remember the guy's name. I didn't even know the guy in Buffalo. He signed a 7-year deal today.
We had that discussion was on Daily Faceoff today. Some people in management said it was the worst deal they've ever seen.
Like, you're telling me Nick Hague can't get 4 next year?
I don't know. He can't. Like,
that's just the way.
Let me spitball like real on Hague. Is that first? I really like this guy, man, a lot. Like, good. I want him in the lineup 100%. I don't want this to be taken negative in any way. It's just, I think that when you look at the goal scoring aspect, there should be more there, and it hasn't blossomed. And I don't think it's going to happen.
That's fair.
You know, like, I think the projections are that, like, boy, if Nick Hague really gets it going, he's going to score 15. Like, I just don't see Nick Hague scoring more than 10 or 12 goals because it's
that many this year. Yeah.
You know, you can pound home one-timers in junior hockey, but it takes a special skill set and a special usage to really score a lot of power play one-timer goals, or just one-timer goals in general.
When he's not getting the usage, he's not going to be on the power play unless there's an injury.
That's my main point. Yeah. So, you know, to me, Hague, with his size and his reach, like, his max is probably like a 4. Maybe he could play top 4. I think. I think he's realistically like a 4 or 5 in this league.
I think he penalty kills too.
But this is a guy, though, to me, that really can be a cornerstone player for a long time. And I wouldn't want to upset that apple cart. It's just that salary cap, man, it's still there and real. Like, look at all they've taken on, you know, so you're still battling up against to the top. And I don't know. I hope it works out for him that he has a great 3 years here. And by the end of this thing, he's going to get paid what he should, because this is undervalued.
Definitely.
I think. You know, by a decent margin here.
Why was the Circa ad not on the Golden Knights jerseys last night? Apparently, and I haven't gotten official confirmation on this, but apparently the way it works is they cannot wear it in states where sports gambling is not legalized. So when they played in Boise, Idaho, they could not wear the Circa patch. When they play in LA in California, I guess you cannot gamble on sports. I don't know the laws in California, but they can't wear the patch. I don't understand that at all, because the patch is for the home team fans. Like, aren't we advertising to the Golden Knights fans, not the Kings fans? Nonetheless, I believe that is actually the reason why they don't wear it. It is weird to me. I don't get it. And moving on to other jersey-related news, here's this. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm just really underwhelmed, I guess.
This is the new reverse retro jersey. It is effectively a knockoff of a Canucks jersey from years past. It has a diagonal
German national team colors.
It does have German national team to it. Diagonal lettering that is supposed to be similar to the Excalibur. I don't know what happened to the Stardust lettering, which is better, but this is the Excalibur one. And then we've yet to find out if Pete DeBoer's sword is on the pants anymore.
Oh, boy. You know, I just wish that they would have stuck with the old reverse retro with the red.
No.
Oh, I'll fight you on this. I'll
No,
bite your
those were
kneecaps.
absolutely horrendous.
I don't like you. I thought they were great. They were a
Oh,
nod
they're
to the
so
Wranglers.
bad. Look at them. They're leotards. Look,
They were a nod to the Wranglers,
so bad.
and they made me happy. Dude, I can't look at those and not think of how sick Leonard's setup was with that gear. It was
I can't look at them and
good.
not think, why are there 3 arrows down to everyone's wang?
You just said wang.
I did.
Dude, by the way, that Samuelson deal is 4.28. Like, it's not even 3 mil.
4.28 a year?
4.285714 to be exact.
And
30 million over 7 years.
2.23. Okay. And you don't think he should have taken the 800,000 for a year, gone out there, had a season where he gets 25 points, which isn't even all that good, and he's making triple that next year?
I would always be a term guy. I don't like betting on myself. Do you see my career? If I'd bet on myself, I'd have been screwed, man.
Yeah, but goalies are different, though. You like there's always a role for a big defenseman who has a clapper like he has, but it's not the same as the position you were in.
Listen,
where you want a 64. He's got to be whatever.
It's an undervalued contract because of circumstances, and he had to get back in the lineup. So
I understand why it happened. He maximized it as far as he possibly could, but still.
So, Cody C in the chat asked if I'm playing a game in the casino. I don't gamble
at all.
I tell you what. No, I don't gamble.
Not even like cards with friends or anything.
No, I don't enjoy it. I did when I played for the Wranglers, learn how to play craps. And I did it because, fiscally responsible, attempting to be here. I knew it had the best odds in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Played the pass line.
Oh, see, you're playing it backwards.
And so I thought, this is great.
You should have played the don't pass line and been the guy that everyone hates. That actually has the best odds in the casino, but they're close.
That actually would have been more fun for me because I would love that to wear the black hat.
Yes.
But I think I played for an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, and I won like $17. It was at the Orleans.
You can cover the salary cap.
I've never been so happy in my life.
Yeah, good for you.
I had so much fun and won $17, and I was like, "That's it. That's enough."
This is amazing.
So anyway, so let's do this. So real quick, man. Like, Ken, give me your impression of Thompson, because you said you thought he was good too, not great. I just want to hear what you thought before I riff on it.
I thought it was a pass. I'll put it that way. I thought he passed the first test. It was not him winning the game. I didn't think he was going to win or lose the game when I came in. I thought that was going to be up to the skaters in front of him. That's kind of how I felt. I definitely thought he was the second best goalie in the game. I don't think that's the knock on him in any way. I thought Quick was very good in that game and kept them in the game. It definitely overcommits on that one. He's flying out there to try and stop Kopitar. So I love to see that when I don't think we need to have that. But for me, it's like, if he's that, he's basically a middle of the line to lower end in the league goalie. And that's kind of what I expected to be. Like, I don't see much more than that.
So I thought he had a good game. I thought that first goal against, played pretty small on it. Velarde's. Mm-hmm. We've seen this. I've diagrammed it. Mm-hmm. Low, wide. The puck almost went over his head and in the net. So I wasn't hot on that, but there was also screen involved.
He made a good save for that too.
Oh yeah. I mean, he had, but this is where I like his games, that he has an explosiveness that a lot of people don't just naturally have. Mm-hmm. And he can cover ground so fast. He's not the greatest. He's going to get better as a puck handler. I'll say that. Like right now, I think he's a little tentative still, but here's the kind of point I'm getting at. If I had to choose between Logan Thompson and Jonathan Quick in a game tomorrow with a lot on the line, I'd take Logan Thompson.
I would not.
I can't trust Jonathan Quick anymore whatsoever with how he plays. And I think the more Thompson sees the league, I think it will be better for him because he is such a field goalie. Like, I do believe that. So I think, man, it's first game. It's a win. It's what you need. I'm very curious to see how long Cassidy's going to ride him, because realistically, I think Thompson can play the next 2 weeks almost.
He's not.
Like you've
I
got
don't
a back-to-back eventually, but like you got 2 weak teams, Chicago, Seattle. I think Hill's going to play one of those.
I think Hill gets Seattle.
That would be my guess as well, because they're going to want Thompson for Calgary, Winnipeg, Colorado. And then after that,
sure he gets all 3 of those either.
Well, you know what? Hill could go for Winnipeg, but you're definitely going to want Thompson when you're going against Colorado and Toronto.
And also Brossoit's getting close.
He's not going in the next 3 weeks.
Is that knowledge that you know?
No, I'll bet on it right now. I have no idea. I got no insider knowledge. I don't think Brossoit touches the ice in a game. November.
Okay.
I think there's a chance before that. I think once they get through that back-to-back set against San Jose, maybe.
Okay.
So, but I'm not sure Brossoit is going to play for the Golden Knights this year. I still just have that in the back of my head in some capacity.
I think he is.
I don't know. And this is a completely weirdo hunch that I have, thinking like they've got 3 goalies. What are we going to do with this? Because they're not sending Thompson down, even though he's waiver exempt. Like, unless he falls on his face here in the next couple of weeks, which I'd be shocked by, given under Cassidy's system.
Doesn't seem horribly likely. I don't know that he's going to grab the job by the balls like I think a lot of people think he already has at this point. Like, I guess let me ask this question: If fully healthy Brossoit or Aiden Hill is in the goal last night, what's the score?
Oh man,
4-3.
I think it's the same, really. I don't think the goaltending was this big a factor. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if that's what we're looking at, like, that's why I say pass first, pass fail. He didn't fail them, but I can't sit here and say that's a great game, because I don't remember a shot that should have gone in that he stopped.
Yeah, but here's why Logan Thompson's better than the other 2 options, if all things are equal in terms of how they might play.
Money.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Like, he's got all the juice in the world right now, because
they've already blown that money.
But
that's better for the future, sure, but that's not for now. Like, that's,
if he gets sent, if they sent him down, like, you activate another $2 million. So
you waive a couple guys and you're fine. Like, who's claiming Jake Lecision? I like Jake Lecision, but who's claiming Jake Lecision? And if they do, it is what it is.
Probably nobody. But
right. So
I don't know.
Send Hutton through. No one's claiming him either, I don't think.
I think we can go through all the mental gymnastics we want. It's Thompson's net. I do think, though, like, Cassidy is somebody who has not been tied to a goalie playing every single game like a Pete DeBoer.
Yep.
If he, like, when Pete gets what he wants and really has one guy, and that's what he'd roll with. Like, Cassidy, like, even when Tuukka Rask was putting up his best years in Boston, or some of his best years, he was playing 52-3 games. Halak was playing 30. Like, It was a pretty even workload. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. And I don't know how much influence Sean Burke's going to have there, goalie coach.
Which way do you think Sean Burke would lean if he had to pick one? Which way does he lean? I
think he'd lean more towards one guy playing.
No, I'm saying if he had to pick one of the goalies, which way do you think he would lean?
Oh, whoever's playing best. I don't know. Okay. There's nobody experienced. If there was somebody who had 500 NHL games, it'd be that guy.
Sure, they don't have that. But like, I guess I would lean towards he's probably thinking more Hill than anybody, because they went out and got Hill for him. And maybe I'm wrong there, but like, that's kind of the way that I view it.
I don't see an allegiance there. I just see I saw an opportunity to bolster and potentially replace. So we'll see. I mean, geez, they got a lot of goalies at this point, like, that are, I mean, Hutchinson's played a lot of NHL games.
Yeah.
Like, I know his last couple goes in the NHL didn't go great, but he's played a lot of NHL games.
Yep. He's an option if they're in a spot where they need to use somebody. He
can step in there and win a game, man.
Play.
Yeah.
What's the score?
I've been in those shoes before. I stepped in and won, I don't know, 7 games, 8 games.
What's the score if he plays last night? 4-3.
Yeah. Yeah, I 4-4.
Okay.
No, I'm
all right.
listen, I'm being mean. I don't know. I didn't think it was a great goalie. It wasn't a great goalie barometer game.
I want to ask you about this. So I
Mhm.
have not actually heard this. The comment is, has Ken heard Martin Barone gushing over
I
LT?
have.
I have not heard it, but I have heard many other people gushing over his game. To me, it feels like right place, right time. It's kind of like it's the right thing to say at this moment. Like, you know what Cassidy's system is going to be. You feel like if they play the way that they're supposed to play, he should be fine back there. That's what Boucher was saying a lot on the broadcast. I haven't heard what Barone said, but like, I just feel like they're not always, I don't think it's always and maybe his was based on what they're seeing out of the actual goaltender. I think it's more the situation. And maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's accurate, but I think it's truthful. I think what Biron's saying, I think what Bush is saying is spot on. When's the last time a goalie failed in Boston?
So, but I guess where I'm going there is, so like, when Hill gets in there, are they going to say the same thing about Hill? Are they going to say the same thing about Brossoit? Now, if Brossoit were healthy coming in, would he not already have the goal? And then would we be saying the same things about, like, is it Thompson that we're discussing, or is it just we think a decent goalie can step in there and be decent?
No, they're talking about Thompson because Thompson's the guy who's going to have, he's going to have the Calder Trophy tied to the minivan. You know what I mean? Right now, like
Is he though?
he's the goalie that factors. How many teams have a true like rookie goalie that's really going to?
What do the numbers have to be to actually have a shot at that?
916, about what he had. Like, it doesn't take a ton.
Is that happening over 40 games?
If he plays 50 games or 55 games and his record's good and he's got a 915 or something, he could easily win the Calder Trophy. Yes. It's going to take a lot of games. Like Swayman last year had great numbers for most of the year. It fell off at the end quite a bit, but he didn't play a ton. And that's what crushed him in voting. Goalies tend to win awards when they play a lot, unless their numbers are just stupid. Like Shesterkin's save percentage of 935 last year, playing, I haven't memorized, but he played 55 games, I think. It was a low total compared to some others. It didn't matter because he was that head and shoulders above.
And what the numbers from yet are right now 900 save percentage and 3 goals a game.
That's one game.
I get that, but what I'm trying to say is, I don't understand the gushing over this goalie compared to that goalie. Like, I honestly believe the gushing would be exactly the same if Laurent Brossoit was
No, I don't think at all, because LT's got juice behind him. That's not just the organization. It's what he's done at each level. He dominated the ECHL. He dominated the American League. He did over 2 years. I know I'm not going to make any excuses for what he did the first year being just amongst, a small grouping of teams. Like, this was really, really good hockey played by a goalie. And then he came to the NHL and played solid last year with half a team in front of him. And that's where, has Baron or Bush seen LT play a ton? I doubt it, other than the NHL. But the eye test and knowing what it takes to get there, knowing what you do in the minors, and the trajectory of goalies that have those types of numbers, and then keep backing it up at each level. It's not like there's wild mood swings here. It's been at each level. So I think that's where the projection comes from, is that this is a guy who he's done it at every level. And when he showed well last year, it gave everyone the confidence to think that now he's, not just got the keys to the castle, the fortress. He's also, got reason to think like he can do this. Like, it's track record. So I don't think they're just doing this because it's a Vegas goalie and it's Cassidy. I do really believe, and the goalie eye, when you watch him, like, he has that natural athleticism, and
he has the fun to watch goalie.
He's got an it factor. I'll say that. Like, you can't teach explosiveness. You could never make, hate to say it, but you could never make Robin Leonard explosive, right? And by the same token, It's not there. It's not visually pleasing like it is to watch Thompson. And that's always intriguing. It's the same thing as a skater. You get a guy that can fly. This guy can skate. What can he do with the puck? He can skate. You know what I mean? Like, you'll always make excuses because you always think you can harness that or make it better. Because realistically, it's kind of like racing. Like, you'd rather have somebody that's a little wild that you have to rein them in than somebody who's a little slow and you got to try to speed them up.
I
think I felt that was very poetic. Yeah, thank you.
I like that too. I like that too. But all right, so then just project forward. We'll make picks in a minute here. Just project forward 10 games from right now. Let's make it 9, so it's around 10. I think it's reasonable to say Hill's playing at least 3 of those, maybe 4. I would guess it's 3. So it's 7-3. If Hill, I'm assuming 1 Seattle. I think 1 San Jose. You might as well give him that game, despite the fact that he was a disaster in the San Jose game in the preseason. But maybe he gets that one. I think they might actually give him easier games because if Thompson's your presumed starter at the moment, he's going to get the harder games. If the rest says that 7 games one way, 3 games the other way. If the numbers are better from Hill, how long is Cassidy going to go before flipping it?
If you're only putting them out there against lesser competition, what does it matter unless Thompson's not performing well? It takes both.
Like last night, he gives up 3 goals, and now we're going to look at numbers, and you say, well, it's only 1 game. Well, he didn't do anything to hurt himself last night, in my opinion, at all. I don't think he did anything to scream that he has to be the starter moving forward. But if he does that exact same thing over 7 games, if he passes the test 7 times in a row, but the numbers say 0.901, 3.2 goals against because they're a nightmare in front of him, or they're playing Colorado, Toronto, Winnipeg. They're playing these teams. Like, at some point, you're going to be like, well, but Hill is 0.951.
Here's what it takes. Thompson has to struggle and Hill has to be lights out. That's how I view the deck.
What do you consider struggle?
I think Thompson has to lose games and be sub 900.
All right, but
yes, no, you got to listen to me. Like, I've lived this, Ken. He has to lose games and be sub 900.
Why is winning games and losing games on him? They did not win or lose that
because this is hockey.
This is hockey.
This is how do you think I lived this position with people rating us based on goals?
So stop projecting that as that's what should or is going to happen when you know
it is what happens. It's what happens.
So
this is what happens, man. This is what happens. So he's got to lose game and have a lose game.
That's stupid. He could have lost last night and it would have made no difference. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm telling you, this is how it works. You're dealing with a very, very conservative front office in the way that they deal things in terms of goaltenders in a traditional fashion, blah, blah, blah. And dude, I outplayed goalies by so much and never got called up, Ken. Okay. You can look at all my stats. You look at the names of goalies that I outplayed in cities and look who got called up. I wasn't the guy. I was not the guy from the start. I wasn't the prospect. Logan Thompson's the guy. He's the prospect. He's got the contract. He's performed well at each level. That's what I mean. That's why he's got to fall on his face for 10, 15 games before somebody else has a chance. Yeah, I don't agree that he's the guy. Well, I just don't. And the reason I don't agree with that is because they've traded for 2 goalies to replace him before even ever giving him a shot to be the guy.
No. Who did they trade for to replace him?
They signed Brossoit when Thompson clearly should have been the backup last year.
Absolutely not. Totally disagree with you. Absolutely. We've had this disagreement before. No chance in hell he should have been the backup last year.
That makes no sense to me. Suddenly he's the starter.
I know it doesn't because
he had to play 19 games and he went whatever the record was, which I don't like the record anyway.
You wanted to toss a guy in the NHL after playing 20 American League games total.
You want to name him the starter right now.
I don't name starters. Starters is a word that I don't use. I think he is the guy who is going to play the majority of games for this team.
How is that different? I don't understand how he can be the guy now after 19 NHL games when last year he's the clear best goalie in the AHL. We cannot have him as our backup. That's insanity to me.
Because it was an abbreviated year that they needed to see it happen again.
So
and
now you are
experienced to carry the mail. No, on that season, he was the best goalie in the league that year, but that doesn't give you automatic right to play in the NHL because in a truncated year like that, he was the best there. So this is we've been down this road before. It would have been an absolute mistake to bring him up. They did it, and I've said this before. They gave Brossoit a 2-year. He was not signed because they didn't believe in Thompson at all whatsoever. No way. Thompson played, dude, he played for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the first place, okay? Like, he's got Wheaties in him. Like, they couldn't believe in him anymore. You had a situation where you had a goalie that needed to go back to the American League, prove it again, play a lot of games so he was ready because they intended on Leonard playing a ton. And you need your number 3 at a case like Thompson where you're growing as a goaltender to play games, to continue to grow, to continue to become confident so that when you get that call, you can play like what happened that year. And I even called it. I said by the middle of the year, he's going to play a decent number of games. And I think the 2-year deal for Brossoit in the second year, if Thompson comes in and plays well, they can deal Brossoit. Well, you can't deal Brossoit because he's hurt.
And contract.
He's injured.
You signed him to a contract that was too big.
So that's number one. Now, who'd they trade for to replace him?
Hill.
No,
yes.
That's not a replacement. That's a layover deal. That's not a replacement whatsoever. That's a layover deal.
That's more salary cap that caused you to miss your one of your better defensemen for the entirety of training camp. That money was right there given to Hill. You gave up a 4th-round pick to have him. And now you put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to eventually waive somebody and tell the league, we have to get rid of somebody. And they could have had Hill for free and they wouldn't do it. They went out and made the trade months before they had to.
That's because they're going to waive Brossoit. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they're going to waive him and somebody's going to take him.
Good. He then counts against the cap. So, he's not going to get claimed.
If he goes down in the minors, he doesn't count more than 900,000.
No, he counts whatever 2.2 million. It's like
not the minors.
But that's you're just going to waste a player and a 4th-round pick to have a this much better backup than Brossoit.
It was done this way so that they knew they'd have at least 3 goalies at all times because they knew Leonard was going to be gone. They don't know how healthy Brossoit is. This is why I'm saying Brossoit's not going to be ready for a while either.
And why do you need that if Logan Thompson's the guy?
Well, because every team in the league knows that they need 3 goalies now. Why do you think the St. Louis Blues wouldn't trade?
Okay, we don't need a second line left winger, but we have to have 3 goalies.
What happens when you get to playoffs and you don't have a goalie? What happened to the Nashville Predators?
What happens when you don't have a second line? What happens when Brett Howden is supposed to be stopping?
You know who gets people fired? I can tell you who gets people fired. Goalies.
Well, I'm aware of that.
And this is hockey.
I will say this. I don't think you can fire a guy that acquires Aiden Hill for a 4th-round pick. You can't do it. It saved his job. That makes no sense, Mike.
I didn't say it saved his job.
I'm saying, how can it possibly be that they're going to get to the playoffs and Aiden Hill is going to save them? If Logan Thompson is supposed to be the guy.
You want Yuri Patera in that? Is that who you wanted to go for? If we get to a 3rd?
Don't they have Hutchinson?
No, they signed him too. I'm telling you, the point is either Hill or Brossoit is not going to be around. I'm just telling you, Hill or Brossoit will not be around.
Cleared waivers? Why didn't they have him? Who was the other guy? The guy that played in games for the Arizona just claimed him. I'm bad.
Johansson?
Who?
Johansson?
No. They just claimed him. He played in games for Nashville.
Oh, Ingram. He's played 3 games.
Connor Ingram.
Ingram does not fit the mold of who they would want for that.
Got him because Arizona claimed him. But.
I've lived this. This is what happens. And I'm telling you, that as stupid as you think it is, and I don't necessarily disagree, it's the way the world works. And if you run into playoffs and all of a sudden you don't have a goalie, like the Colorado Avalanche 2 years ago when they were rolling out Hutchinson in playoffs, the Hamburglers out in playoffs, it looks bad on people. So I think that's the reason why. I think that I don't think Hill by any stretch is here to supplant Thompson whatsoever. I don't believe that.
I can't say that.
Okay.
And the reason I can't say that is because I don't understand why you would buy Brossoit. I flat out disagree with you that he couldn't have been the backup last year. Like that, I just don't agree at all.
It's not, he could he have? Yes. Would he be better goalie? Would he be the goalie that he is now if he had just rotted on the bench after playing 20 games in the American League?
More than 19 games, and then he would have played down the stretch.
At the start of the season, he wasn't going to play at all. It was all Leonard.
If they handed him the job, if they didn't buy Brossoit, yes, he was. Robin Leonard can't play 70 games.
No, but at the first half of the year, you can't know that Leonard's going to fall apart midway through the. I mean,
no matter, even if he was healthy, how many
is
playing? I mean, is Thompson playing 19
last year tops? But it's the interim. It's the amount of time between games you have to play. You want the laundry list of goalies that have been ruined from coming up too early, dude? I can give you 1,000
That's fair.
of them.
That's fair. Then play him.
They did in the American League where he should have. And then he showed up and he was ready. It was the right play. And it made Brossoit's deal. If Brossoit had played well, he would have made himself expendable in a deal. But then he couldn't because he was hurt. So this is what they're stuck with.
And then why the deal this summer? To buy two
for
goalies.
Hill. For Hill?
Yes,
extra insurance. It caught me off guard too. I didn't expect it because I thought Hutchinson was their third guy, but that's also when we thought that Leonard was still going to be around. So,
yeah, that's the other thing. They bought Hutchinson while Leonard was there, and then bought Hill afterwards. There's never been a moment where they've said Logan Thompson is the man. Period.
They're never going to. They're never going to.
Why wouldn't you?
What?
Why would you not say that? He is everything you can possibly ask for if he's good. If he can do this, he's exactly the price you want. He's the exact personality you want. He's flashy and fun to watch. He's hilarious in interviews. The guy has it. Like, why would you not give him the job? Why is Aiden Hill here if they believe in him?
Because you have to have somebody to go with him. You're really going to run? You wanted to run out Thompson and Hutchinson?
You looked at the schedule.
When's Brossoit's not here?
Need a backup.
You tell me when Brossoit's back playing games. You tell me.
I will. He's skating. He's going to be back soon. He'd be back sooner if they didn't actually have another goalie as an option.
Okay, so
I don't know. I just feel like they've had the ability to give the job to Thompson. I still don't think he has it. In Cassidy's mind, I don't think he has it. In Burke's mind, I don't think he has it yet. And I don't think that the wins and losses is fair. It needs to be who is actually better and who is going to be better moving forward. And then the other piece that's going to get lost in all of this, that's going to piss me off to all the highest of hell, is it's not about this year. This team ain't winning the cup. They're not. So if Logan Thompson is going to be a decent to good NHL starter and he has ups and downs, who cares? Live with the downs. Let him be the starter. That's not the mentality. Aiden Hill if you need that.
The mentality is not that they're not going to win the cup. The mentality is they're going to
win the cup.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But you know what? I can say that about 32 teams in the league because I'm a pessimist. I don't think their chances are very high.
Do you think Colorado?
I don't think Colorado? I don't think Colorado's going to win anything if they keep playing.
Do you think Tampa can win the cup?
Of course they can.
Carolina, Florida.
Yes, there's about 8 or 10 teams.
Edmonton, yes.
It would be a surprise for them to do it. Here's what I'm going to say because I got to go to bed because I'm in St. Louis. I'm 2 hours ahead. You mentioned fair.
You know
what's fair?
I like treating players fairly. I like doing.
You know what's fair?
I don't like this. Where you're going? Just do it.
Go ahead. What's fair? Cotton candy. That's what you get at the fair.
You made a fair joke. You literally just made a fair joke.
It was in my economics class years ago with Dr. Cheesem, and it's resonated with me ever since.
Wait,
you want the full story? He literally
Cheese.
Dr. Cheesem. It was Cheese. Yeah, we called him Cheese. Yeah, I called him Cheese. So I'm going to tell this story before we sign off.
Okay.
And thanks to Jim Jimerson of the Jimerson Law Firm yet again. Yes. I'm sitting in economics class. Dr. Cheesem.
Macro or micro?
This was intro to economics. So it was the one before micro and macro. And Cheese looks at everybody and he goes, "What's fair?" Some Poindexter from prep school puts his arm way high in the air and gives him,
ready to go to Cornell.
I mean, just an unbelievable answer this kid gives. Like, right? It's equitable for both sides. Both walk away feelings like amazing answer. Cheese looks at this kid and he goes, "No, you're wrong." And everybody just went, "What?" Who is this guy? They asked again, "What's fair?" Another kid, just an absolute dork, just a dweeb, right? Same deal. Prep school, like probably sweater vest, like this is 2003 or 2. And another like sick answer. And he blows him off too. And he goes, "Nope, cotton candy. That's what you get at the fair." And everybody looked at me and go, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
Yes.
And then it all kind of sunk in that we all realized that there's not really so much such thing as fair. There really isn't. So,
well, here at
that's always stuck with me.
Is fair. I believe our deal with you is fair. I believe our deal with the Jimerson law firm is fair. I believe the product that we give out is fair. I believe our judgment of the team is fair. I think we do fair. Fuck your cotton candy. That's all I've got. Good shit. Wait, make predictions. Give me some. Are they winning the next 2? Just give me the next 2.
Oh, they're going to absolutely wax the Blackhawks. Seattle's going to be a closer game than we think, maybe a 3-2. And then Calgary, I think, is going to be your first real task. And I don't know what Calgary is going to look like from a chemistry standpoint, but I think that's going to be I'll put that at 3-1 Calgary.
I have the Golden Knights winning tomorrow in the season home opener. The Golden Age is going to have a win. The Golden Carpet. I'm going to try one of those new sandwiches at the new place on the Strip. It's going to be good. Bruxy is not there anymore. It's a sandwich place now, and they look delicious. I'm excited about that. More excited about that than the Gold Carpet. And then the Golden Knights are going to win by like 3 or 4 tomorrow, and then they're going to lose in Seattle with me in attendance. I just don't think it's all set up right. I think they're going to lose that one, and then, oh boy, Calgary's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good competitive game. I'll say overtime they lose. So we're going to come back here at a little bit of a different spot off 2 losses, and we'll have a lot more to discuss. I think that like we can't go overboard about the first game. We really shouldn't. The Kings did not play well. The Golden Knights played a little bit better. The game was close. They actually gave up multiple leads in that game. However, there is a lot of good to take out of that game, and you should feel good going into the next game and understanding that there is a really clear path to 6 points in 3 games here for a team that has a little bit of a tough stretch coming up. That's a massive positive. That is a step in the right direction to making the playoffs. That's what I'm ending on. That's good. I like all that.
I agree with you. I do. I enjoyed watching the game, and I actually feel optimistic about this club for the first time in a while. So, yeah.
Well,
we are gold. We are golden. Stay gold, Pony
Boy. Show is pure gold, and you know what that is? Do you know what that is? That's fair. That's a fair thing to say, Joey. Thank you.
I love cotton candy.
Thank you, Jimerson.